I think we are overall just stronger against good teams because bad teams, they don't have the game plan, and we often don't do as well, but we are good at reacting what other people do, so maybe sometimes we're like one Drake behind, or one kill, or one tower, but we will still be doing something, and we'll be still in the game.
Well, Vander is definitely right in that one, that they are showing up big time versus OG. Roccat has brought it to series to match point, and that means it's win or go home for Origen as we load up for Game 4. He says we do better against better teams. On the other hand, OG in that last game, some disappointing decisions from their side.
Oh, yes, quite a few. Looking at this game, where to begin from Origen's side of things? Because they were in control from the beginning of the game, but in picks and bans once again, Rockat's picks and bans drafting phase is on another level than what we saw it in the actual regular split. Obviously, we've worked a lot with Yamato over the last couple of weeks. We know what his priorities are. This time, key thing, they take away the Braum on the first rotation for Roccat. And, you know, that worked very well in Game 1 for Origen. They took it in Game 2 for Roccat and again in Game 3.
Well, also the thing here from Origen, if you look at that composition, obviously it's the standard poke comp we have seen a few times from them before, where you have Source on a split pusher. They had winning lanes all across the board, at least pushing lanes, which in some way is a winning lane, which allowed them to play very aggressive in the early game. And what they did was very smart, because they had amazing secure the top side of the map, where we had the dual lane on the top side versus each other, and then Pekka pushing the mid lane. It made it very safe for him in the start, at least. And then what's going to happen is once you hit level 6 in the Gnar versus Maokai matchup, you start pushing in the Maokai, and Elise walks up and you dive the Maokai. Like, that's the plan for Origen. We get a lead on Source, he becomes a split pusher, we group in the mid game and start poking, and we win in like 30-35 minutes. Because with these kind of comps, you can see the 30 minutes if they win or not. I mean, that's pretty simple. If you haven't managed to get a lead as a poke comp at that time, you won't get it from now on, because now the engages will happen. The Maokai gets too tanky, too much physical damage, and that's where it goes wrong.
Before all that, though, Origen decides to go in and try for the blue. Actually, good deep warding at that point. That's not the problem. Let's pull up that replay. But they make the crucial mistake of getting engaged upon at that time.
Yeah, you know, as you said, it was good lanes to start. So Mithy has already established vision, and they see the start of the recall from Steve. Steve actually cancels his recall, and that's one of the key factors here, because Mithy goes on Vander thinking they have the numbers advantage here. So as all the way over in the top lane, and Origen just don't read the numbers advantage from Roccat. Yes, they have as much vision as you'd like in the enemy jungle, but if you don't have the numbers, you can never take an early fight like this consistently.
And also, Braum is not the support you get the quick pick on and just walk away. Yes. You see how much damage he can take, he buys time, but really, we even saw the lanes right here. Bot lane were pushing, mid lane were pushing for Origen. They could literally play this game so slow-paced and just keep shoving away on these lanes here and just a vision control to spot Jankos and have the Elise keep going towards the top side. Problem is, it is a fairly predictable strategy, and we saw Jankos do a very good job trying to counter where Amazing was going. Whenever he went top, he was there to either counter gank for Steve, or Steve was safe enough that he wouldn't die to it, and then Jankos were open to go mid lane or bot lane whenever he saw Amazing on the top side. So Jankos really played this game so amazing in the early game.
Yeah, let's
so
expand a little bit.
He played it well in the early game.
Let's Okay, let's expand a little bit on that, by the way, because in the first 15 minutes of this game, Amazing was 0-1-0, whilst Jankos was 3-0-1. Of course, something's coming off the skirmish as well, the assist in that one. In general, what we've been looking at is the jungle support synergy coming into this one. We heard a lot of shot calling from Vander at the end of that game with the listen in. How much has that influenced this series?
I mean, a lot. And then also the fact that Origen is running simple comps, simple strategy in some way. I mean, again, this game here, how easy it was for Vander and Jankos to read what was going to happen on the map and then react to what was going on, because Varus couldn't really set up a gank mid lane due to cleanse on the Victor, and bot lane, the Sivir Braum lane is super safe. You don't want to gank that, so it's very predictable that Amazing would keep going top, and they just react to it really well, had some good calls, and really full credit to this duo here, Vander and Mithy.
Jankos?
Yep. Vander and Jankos. It's good with these 4 names.
Yeah. 4 names. Whew.
Really stepping up this series here, and I thought that Mithy and Amazing were the best jungle support duo we have here in Europe. Right now, Vander and Jankos are doing their best to challenge that, and that's why also Roccat are winning or doing well in the early game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you wanted to jump in.
Well, the only thing I was going to say is that, you know, it's so comfortable for Roccat. They've had the Gragas 3 games. Jankos has been looking very strong, which is surprising to me, because first picks and bans, I was sat there thinking, Amazing will just play Gragas into anything and be comfortable. Hasn't seemed to be the case. They've given it away, and Jankos is looking mighty fine on it.
We still do see Roccat once again, though, have fairly slow games. This one I can accept it because they would outscale them. They're basically waiting for that mid-game spike of a double poke comp to end. Get their their third item in on the carries, and then you start really team fighting, get the tanky stats on the Maokai. I mean, we even have the team fight that basically won them the game, where they got this far into the game, we just pull it up already, where it is the engage coming from Steve with the home guard, which took a little while to set up, but once it did, it was super, super powerful, and so same for the replay.
Yeah, we were sat here going, TP, come on, just go for the play. And
you could have done this for 5 minutes.
Right. We were looking at it every time as we roll this out. The wards in mid lane and in the jungle, anytime you have this situation, you can just make the Maokai TP play like this. Key factor here, he gets, okay, it's kind of off to the side, but he gets one of the carries right in his sights, gets onto Xpeke, and that's really all he needs from this.
There's nothing you can do at this point if you are the poke comp, because it's too easy for Roccat to start the fights. They have Sivir, they have Home Guard TP, they have Flash Body Slam from Agraga. So your poke comp is also running out because everyone's getting so tanky. Problem is there to block the damage. You have to take a team fight, and you're not strong enough. So like, time has run out. Origen probably knew this at this point. Okay, the game is over. Look towards the next one. I can't help but feel that Origen is making too many mistakes in the early game to run these compositions that have like really a timer on it and say if you hit 30 minutes and you haven't gotten a goal lead, you will probably lose the game. Because they made too many mistakes in all 3 games. Even the one where they had the late game scaling, they had a bad team fight. Maybe it's time to pull out some more late game from Origen's side and say Roccat is fairly passive. We will have to go late game, and then we need to be able to outscale them.
Fairly passive, but Roccat on average has been up 1,250 gold by 15 minutes. Some of that might have come from that mid lane matchup, which we were looking at so closely. Peke 0-4 and 0 in the first 15 minutes in the last 3 games. Yuktak 1-0 and 4, and being a decisive force. Something you said from Origen in the past when we were looking at them playing H2K back in the semifinals is that these are 2 teams that when they're behind don't do that well. You say late game, maybe they just need to find a lot more force in the early game.
Yeah, Origen are just struggling to even get into the game in any of their lanes right now. Maybe we see Niels be put on something like the Tristana we saw against Fnatic. I know that's something Shock said, well, during the game we were talking about that quite a lot, that you felt strongly you wanted to see some Tristana. Could be a possibility. Play around your AD carry. We know you're a team that can do it, because right now, the way these games are going, this is how unicorns get to World.
Wow.
Is Roccat take this series, and then we have a very messy 5-game series tomorrow where so a lot of crazy stuff happens.
Roccat looks so much better, though, compared to that quarterfinal game. I mean, they look a lot better in this series. Still, though, for Origen, I feel like when you run a Corki Varus comp and a Narn delayed into a Maokai, you can't really ask for much better early game setup, and also the Elise jungle, and yet you manage to make mistakes, lose some of the fights, and lose all the momentum in the game, and you go late and then you lose. We need to see more late game from them. One concern is Lulu is always banned away, and that ruins this whole protect Niels thing, so he can go crazy. Maybe we can see something like a Janna coming in just to keep him safe in the backline on a Tristana, because late game is where this game is going to be won, and so far it's going to Roccat.
And great picks and bans from them already, as Yamato foreshadowed yesterday. Well, with the teams ready, we're going to kick it over to Quickshot and Crepo for those picks and bans.
Thank you very much, guys and girl at the analyst desk. We are going to jump into picks and bans for game number 4. Braum currently undefeated this series, 3-0.
Told you. Champions strong.
Have been raving about it in the office. This time around, Roccat are again on blue side. I'm going to re-pitch the question. Gangplank was the last ban from Roccat on red side, previous game. What changes this time around? We've seen the Lulu banned out by Roccat. Actually, the Lulu's been banned out red side exclusively. So we'll see whether or not Origen want to let that slide. I mean, one of the other alternatives, ban a player, let multiple OPs through, and get your hands on 2 of them.
Or just completely throw a team that is so strong in this patch off by really doing random bans. Saying, okay, you guys are expecting this and this to fall out, and then you're going to match that with these bans, and suddenly you're banning Teemo. It's weird. No, it sounds weird, but like throwing a coach off like that could be a curveball that Origen's considering throwing, because they've been kind of outpicked every game this series so far. If not, they have to look at tendencies. What's been good for them? Jankos, Gragas, 3 games in a row. Lost 1, but phenomenal performance overall. Braum has a 100% win rate this series. Respect that. Start dropping some of these bans, and at least allow Roccat to prove, can you play Lulu? Are you going to first pick it? Make them have the choice. Because I think Origen does better with Lulu and Gangplank combined than Roccat would, but yeah, it seems like Origen is still afraid of that pick overall.
Definitely don't want it in their camp. Roccat going to their blue side bans from game 2 of this series. Killiston, Varus, Fizz was the last one. For Origen, they went Elise, Azir, Lulu. Those are the 3 they've been banning. And we'll make a modification this time around, and it'll be Yasuo removed. I want to just sort of echo what the analyst desk was saying in terms of team performances. Unicorns have been looking bad. Roccat have been looking really good. Origen pushed Fnatic to 5 games. Now they're struggling here. This could be their last game of 2015. Roccat do not change their bans from game 2.
All right, give up Gangplank and take Gragas Braum. Could have been a good rotation here for Origen. At least force Roccat to do something different. Maybe banning one of the mid laners. If you leave Victor open, then at least Xpeke isn't pinched either. You can have Victor and then, or Ari worst case, so he has champions left to play with wave clear.
Ban Azir.
Ban Sivir maybe. Yeah, there we go. Sivir ban, this is good. You ban Sivir because you don't really care about the Sivir. You know you're going to lose it anyways. You're not going to pick it up at first rotation. The Azir is open finally. Xpeke will have to show that he can play, but then they lose Gangplank. So suddenly this crucial pick opens up. Now Origen, they can react with either Gangplank combined with Gragas or Gangplank Braum, which are 2 top-tier picks in this series. And suddenly we have a whole different draft.
So Xpeke has already played Vladimir, and he's played Vlad into Azir. It's something he did multiple times during the regular split. We'll see if he decides to go that route. It would also be a magic damage dealer that would somewhat complement the GP.
Not entirely experienced in this matchup, but the new Nashor's Tooth build seems like it will punish Vladimir harder with his repetitive soldier attacks over time. Can't sustain that up quite as well. We'll see. No idea how that plays out. Xpeke can always just play Ari, you know, make it a skill matchup and rely on the roam. Roccat now would say, okay, we really want the aggressive jungler. This time Gragas is not going to cut it. We're just going to go hardcore on cocoons, death sentences, try and catch people out. But I think overall Origen is happy with this. If they just spec hard into late game right now, they can make it at least to the late game traditionally against Roccat and then just try and outscale. However, take that back, outscaling in Azir is nigh impossible.
Really, really tough. And with Rockat's map play and the ability to throw down that Sun Disk Azir turret, also going to help them out. Origen decide to go for the magic damage AD carry in Corki. It's the mixed damage would be a better word. And they lock in the Gragas as well.
That means Rawlers will have to play a new champion this series. He's played Sivir twice, Corki once. Corki's taken away, Sivir's banned. By proxy, he will now have to play something else. People usually go for a Vayne here, but it's pretty hard to play. He actually wants something with range. A pick in a different meta maybe coming out was Caitlyn, but she just doesn't work anymore right now. Kalista is out of the equation, so this is good pressure in picks and bans from Origen.
And Mr. Rawls did run the Cogmore against Unicorns of Love when Nukeduck was running Corki mid. When they had that double 80 carry setup, they run it twice. It looks like that's going to be the case. And for Steve, again, he's going back to champion that he played in game 1, the Hecarim. Something that he's had mixed results with, but looking so much better this series. Last few seconds locked down. There is a lot of damage on the Roccat side. They will be relying on what is most likely going to be that Tank Elise and Thresh for their front line and utility.
Yeah, but look at how this draft played out in terms of what Origen took away and pressured from Roccat. They gave Nukeduck the Azir, but they say, okay, we take the top tier pick, top percentage Gangplank. We steal the Braum, which is 100% win rate this series. We force Jankos to adapt to a different jungle than he's played. We force Wallace to adapt to a different AD carry. So let's see how Roccat handled this change. And we still have a good mid laner option here for Xpeke. He can go Azir, he can go Victor into the Azir, he can go Ari. Turns out to be the Victor, so well-rounded composition. Double tank. Peel from Braum. A lot of crowd control set up from Braum with his passive in addition to Glacial Fissure. So both teams with a well-rounded composition. Roccat slightly trickier to play if Rawlers gets caught or Nukeduck just gets any CC on top of him, just immediately drop.
Look at the player cams though. Soa is looking very, very distraught. He will be on the Gangplank. Was the champion that was largely responsible for handing Fnatic their first loss in the final. And for Origen, it'll be the game they need to force the decider, to force Silver Scrapes, Leduc, and Yamato Kan are the two coaches who have been forced to adapt as each game is played out.
If we don't get a lane swap this game, it will heavily rely on the 2v2 top lane. That might be the crucial matchup. Steve and Soa backed up by the respective junglers, Jankos and Amazing. And that's what we want to watch, and that I think is the pivotal matchup, the key matchup to keep watching in this game until we hit the 15-minute mark.
So, we'll see if we get those lane swaps. We'll see if we do get those battles. Hecarim against Gangplank, Elise against Gragas. You can see the rest of your team compositions on screen. For Origen, they can force one more game, or they go home and they are finished with the 2015 season. hashtag ROC win or hashtag OG win. Let us know on Twitter, who do you think will win? The vote was heavily in favor of Origen in game 1 of the day. But it is Origen that have to dig deep and bounce themselves back. We're loading up onto the Rift. Roccat may be able to force a rematch with the Unicorns of Love. Let's see, we've not had deep wards. Really most of this series, actually. They've been relatively intelligent sort of lane wards.
Invading into a Braum is tough. I actually like what Miffy does here. If teams invade for a lane swap, they traditionally invade into the red side jungle. If you're already waiting there with Braum, and then you have, try and catch people walking in. Origen says, well, if they don't show up, we might just group up on the area, get some deep vision ourselves. Braum is just incredibly strong at level 1 because he can put the passive on every single member in the fight, and then these fights go long, multiple stuns win you the fight. Complete mirror though. Don't really lose too much. You lose your jungle left side, you gain some jungle on the right side. It's early enough to start planning ahead of how we're going to play this out. We'll probably see the traditional lane suppos do a jungle come out here.
Let's find out who's going to get ahead. Roccat were able to initiate the lane swap game 1 of this series, but Origen technically came out ahead. They had the scaling comp and the decision making. We do see Soa setting up those powder kegs, so this will speed up Amazing's initial clear.
Steve spotted because that ward's in tower range. Well, it works. It baits the horse. You lead the horse to the ward. You slaughter it. Steve walks back.
I read the Reddit thread that taught me wards have life. They are living things because you can lifesteal off them. Now that that useful tidbit has been shared, the lane swap is in effect.
Roccat don't opt to put any free shenanigans. Instead, they're going to steal away the Grom. And then going to walk down to the bot lane. The pathing to get back to the lane is kind of inefficient, so they'll likely lose at least 2 creeps. It's actually flaying to the wrong direction. You flay that down. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to go into Krugs and Grom science anymore. TLDR, they're losing some XP in the bot lane for a camp. Miffy is roaming a little bit. Corki farming in the top lane on Niels, so pretty standard lane swap. It's going to play out pretty standardly.
Yeah, but I want to see how they handle the tower pressure. We're going to go for those standard 3v0, which is somewhat expected on the tower. And let's see whether or not Steve and Soaz once again will prioritize the local gold and some of the XP in the farm. Origen will also be on the tower sooner. I think those powder kegs do a lot to speed up Amazing's early clear.
I think this will be another lane swap where Soaz gets ahead in experience on Steve. Origen failed to capitalize on that game 1. Still managed to win the game. Yeah, this wave is going to bounce. This is actually really good for Origen because they not only can they bounce the wave to their top laner, they can move their bot lane back to the bottom side of the map. That is where you want to end up. Equal numbers for Dragons. You still have the teleport available to him. He's healthy. He didn't take any of those accidental tower shots so far. So good lane swap start for Origen.
The next few minutes, it'll be the most interesting. Miffy and Niels going to start backing away. Deny.
Niels needs gold, so they're looking to share the gold, it seems.
Okay.
That's why he canceled his base. Took a couple of hits out, waiting for creeps to go.
There we go.
See what he picks up with that gold. Better be worth it. Stealing from your top laner, how dare you?
Share between 3 people on Rockat's side. And the wave did not bounce either.
No, that'll bounce eventually.
Okay.
Because
Slower though.
Yeah, and too slow to an extent, because by that time, Origen's bot lane will be back again. Steve this time, I believe, is doing the right thing by just pushing out the wave. This is what Soaz did in game 1. Trying to freeze that wave, there's no point, honestly, because you're too low HP, you have too little resources. You're sitting on a flask, you'll just die and get dove. So it's actually, where initially the freezes came out, it's now better in the meta to just simply push out again. Looks like Steve is zone off experience. Repeat from game 1 overall.
Game that Origen ended up winning. But they were on the blue side. This time around red. Every time we look middle, Pekka and Nukeduck, they are even on farm, but it's Pekka that's being zoned away. Those shifting sands, commanding sands from Nukeduck. Spamming out those auto attacks. And we are going to see
Amazing.
Jungler going toe-to-toe.
Could be interesting. Amazing. They have a biggest thing by Origen is they have a ward in the lane. So they can see the backup that comes to lane. Because Steve was zoned off CS right now in the bottom lane. He actually went down all the way base and top lane. He gets spotted. So Origen are going to defend this dive 4v3, letting Niels power farm up to level 6. If they avoid getting killed here, this is really big for Origen.
So important dive potential here. Origen in a 3v4. Keep in mind, Nukeduck has flash and teleport, ladies and gentlemen, on his mid lane Azir. If a party starts, Nukeduck could arrive. Cocoon catches on Amazing, but the death sentence does not. Steve on the power pony. He prances in before being popped away. First blood secured, and it's Steve that gets it. The Ignite takes him down. Origen decide to back away. Niels continues to farm on the bottom lane, but Roccat may be able to get the second tower and a kill for their top laner.
Have to remember, in the bottom lane right now, Corki is still pushing and Steve wants to base as quick as he can. Pick up as much farm because Niels was slow pushing that wave. He's leaving massive amounts of experience and CS available to Steve if he teleports right now, which he's doing. Look at that wave. He's going to get an advantage over Soaz.
Already got first blood, already got the makings of a Phage.
Red buff too?
Because it was Amazing that went down. So really, really big power play for Roccat and for Steve. And I mean, 3v4 defending a tower?
It's tricky. It's an outplay, but Roccat did have the right members to get that dive off. You know, the reset coming out of Elise is crucial there. You have so much AoE damage from Hecarim. Didn't get punished, didn't get trapped without that flash. Overall, clean dive from Roccat. They don't take the tower down though. That's the biggest difference. Both towers stay alive, but a significant gold lead. At this point in the game, 400 gold. It does matter. But the experience is what we have to keep tracking. Will Soaz stay ahead because he wasn't the one dying? So where we said, yes, Steve will pick up that big farm. It does seem that Soaz is still ahead in terms of CS. That advantage I was shouting about may not actually be there.
Couple hundred gold. Steve, and he has used his teleports already. So once again, going to recall. Head back to base. We did see Mr. L set up shop in the bottom lane. Phage v Phage. There's Niels Corki's down there as well.
Confusion by Soaz as well. He backed out, tried to base, then realized, no, if I leave here, I'm going to leave a perpetual freeze for Steve, and that will cost us the game. So he moves out to push. Again, a little slow on the trigger. Niels managed to push out. So while Roccat had control over the river, their lanes are getting pushed in. They may relinquish that control and allow, finally, Mithy and Amazing are grouping up again for some vision.
He does get caught by the cocoon, but
Two pink wards cleaned.
Doesn't be a big deal, but yeah, big investment already. So that gold lead they've built up has been evened out. So is really committed to avoiding this freeze.
Yeah.
Cannon Barrage just to keep the wave pushing and get that lane reset to even out that close to his territory.
Yeah, and I think Roccat got a little greedy. They went for the double pink ward setup in the river, which is fantastic if you can back it up with lanes pushing. But they did it before they pushed the lanes. So they placed the wards, then their lanes got pushed in. Naturally, they have to back out. Then Amazing and Mithy roamed up and they took down 2 pink wards and up taking down a third. So that 200 gold lead that Roccat remains, they invested at least 300 of that in pink wards. They got immediately killed. So roughly even back in the game. And Soaz is ahead of Steve still in experience. Steve has more mana though. He might actually go in.
Sword of Shadows is available. There's no Cannon Barrage. Soaz removes Scurvy and it's okay. There's the onslaught. He's just going to catch Amazing at the end of the body slam. But another big cooldown that has been used.
Because the way this lane stuff's played out, Niels has a big experience advantage in the bot lane. That means he hits level 6 first. He can poke and he can deny some CS from Rawls, and that's what we see. Roccat kept grouping around Mr. Rawls to make these plays, make these dives. Niels was farming on his own, uncontested. He's now ahead, 20 CS and some experience. Maybe slightly behind Vander. But we'll need to see if they can force that home. Because once Kog'Maw hits level 6, he can play into much every matchup and go even.
And something that Origen will have to keep in mind, especially on those side lanes, is that Steve and Nukeduck have got teleport. I'm quite confident this is the first teleport Azir we've seen in Europe. I know we've seen teleport Oriana, we've seen teleport Diana, teleport Twisted Fate. Those are not unusual. But the map play that will open up to Roccat could be crucial to unlocking this game and getting to the regional qualifier finals. Niels extends that CSE to 30 as this wave gets shoved into tower. Yankees
amazing.
Show up as well. Amazing. Damn it, 3 Gragas games.
He got the Diffuser Curse. He's on a ward though, so he's giving away. Let's see how well Roccat can act as if they don't know he's there, waste his time. He was on a ward earlier, and the ward now expired. So Amazing shadowing these lanes in full vision. Pekka going back to the race. Like, well, my jungler's in the bot lane. I guess I'll take this jungle.
Yep.
Back to Season 2 we go.
Comes from an era where that belongs to mid laners anyway.
Yeah, junglers have to ask for permission to take the Wraith.
Wraith camp.
Back in the day. Not those silly Raptors.
Feels like not so long ago. Ward just about to time out, so unfortunately for Vander that he used the sweeper down.
Nuketook 2 wants some Raptor. He arrives too late to the Raptor party.
Both of these mid laners, long time gone. Roccat though, they did actually extend their lead a few hundred gold more thanks to the CSing. Just picking it up across the board. And Amazing is still sticking around this bottom lane. Wants to maybe play over the stronger lane, Mithy and Niels.
All right, keep in mind, teleport is here to stop this dive. Keep in mind, Cannon Barrage from SOAS could facilitate the dive. That's why Jankos is here as well, trying to prevent it. But this tower is going very, very low. It will go down on this wave.
So, tower number 2 will be secured by Origen. This will give Niels 2,000 gold to spend. It will help him out towards that Trinity Force, continuing to grow further ahead of Mr. Oz. I think that's important, because obviously Mr. Oz is going to have the natural scaling, which is a topic that we've continued throughout this series, which team comp has got headroom to grow.
Both of these team comps transition very well into the late game, and that is something we were saying Origen would need to come out of the draft phase with. Don't put a timer on your games, because late game their shot calling is good enough to make it, unless they just play against themselves. And if Roccat can comfortably just wait for time to expire. Another Dragon, however, goes to Roccat. Something we've seen throughout this entire season. Initially, the first 2 games, it was Origen picking up a couple of Dragons, sneakily. Right now, Roccat, more emphasis on that early Dragon.
And Origen, way more emphasis on the towers.
Oh, this is a good group. I like this. Zoning off the Azir. Potential Body Slam Flash is enough to threaten Nuketook. Braum passive 2, he's already half HP. Finally, Origen are doing what they couldn't achieve game 1 with their Siege composition, which is Siege. Group up your mid laner and your AD carry and poke the hell out of whoever's defending that. No more Braum to stop these projectiles. Mid lane tower going low. Teleport comes in, but that's not going to even be in time.
No, it's definitely not. It looks like that's cancelled as well. So Nuketook recalled, thought he was going to finish the TP, but ends up cancelling it. So Origen, all outer towers are down.
3 towers down at 12 minutes. This gives you so much leeway and opens up so many plays around the map. Let's see if they're smart enough to really push around Roccat. This is where lane control on the side lanes becomes paramount to victory.
So as with the teleport available, the makings of that Trinity Force, he may be the man for Origen that has to maintain control in that side lane. For Origen, they're lucky that Pekka's got a great wave clear mid as well, so Pekka can hold that tower with most pushes. But if Roccat really commit multiple members, then Niels will need to be called back as well.
Yeah, Victor with the Gravity Field laser combo is incredibly easy for him to hold waves, and there's no threat. He outranges Cocoon. People have to step into tower range already to zone him off, and they need multiple people, or even a flank, and it's too easy for Origen to defend that, so 2 towers alive still. SOAS is not freezing on the bot lane, he had the chance. He knows that if he freezes, one of his 2 remaining towers will come under siege, and the gold that he just gained in that freeze will be just given over to Roccat in addition to map control. Therefore, keeping the pressure on is definitely what he has to do.
Shoved that wave out, did back away. And in terms of pressure, I want to see who's going to get deep vision. I think it's more important for Roccat because of the home guard Hecarim engages and just how powerful they are. A little easier on Hecarim, maybe. You could argue than Maokai to just engage straight on thanks to that Onslaught of Shadows. But it's way more effective if you can come from behind. And if you look down in the bottom lane, top laners and junglers are about to go toe-to-toe. Well, we're going to watch up top. Niels is going to sidestep the death sentence. Mithy throws out the Winter's Bite. So engages on both sides. You can see SOAS also used his flash to escape.
Yeah, Niels had to be careful. SOAS couldn't teleport because he was under siege himself. Roccat with some good aggressive moves. Can they get the tower though? SOAS can still teleport top. We might actually see him do it here if Roccat push really hard, but they seem to slow push that wave, walk away. So SOAS goes back to the bottom lane, gets to the top lane. There's no dragon to contest. Finally, Origen are fine taking it slow because there's no dragon on the map. Late game isn't a worry for them this game. And a slow and steady leaves them with 1.4k gold lead.
And 2 Trinity Forces as well already. Sorcerer shoes completed for Pekka, not the Ionian Boots of Lucidity that we've seen from previous victors. So for Origen, they've got the gold lead, they've got the tower lead, they've got the item lead. If they wanted to pick a fight, they could.
Very conditional on just how it plays out. Map is very widespread, all these lanes being pressured by Origen. And they're focusing more on denying vision from Roccat, especially in the deep blue jungle. That's what Amazing was doing earlier. Have one pink ward in their jungle too. Just trying to hang on. Don't get surprised by any teleport shenanigans right now. Wait for the next dragon. That's likely where we'll see a fight, or at least maybe the makings of one, and then one team will opt in or out, because we're heading for an incredibly slow game. Understandably so, since Origen are one game removed from potentially not going to Worlds, dropping out of the gauntlet completely against all expectations, myself, and I imagine yours included.
Yes, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I thought this series was going to be 3-1 to Origen, and as you mentioned, Game 4, the weight is so heavy. There's 4 tons of pressure in the game. As Origen and Roccat are going head-to-head. So we'll see now, as those Trinity forces have been equaled out. Sorcerer's Shoes as well as Nash is completed for Nuke Duck.
Look how ready these teams are for each other. Mid lane, both towers down, or 1 tower down, so this lane is long, allowing Nuke Duck to just move up to the left side. They really don't want to allow Mithy and Amazing to get deep vision in their blue jungle. That's what Roccat is preventing. That's why initially Amazing shadows Niels through the lane so he can push out. Then he breaks free, tags off, wants to move in the jungle, but do it safely enough because they knew 4 people were missing and the only place they could be was in that jungle. Nobody's going to be down below in top lane island. This map is completely played on the top side of the map right now. Because even if you kill Hecarim at this point, it's not worth it. There's no tower to take from that. By the time you reach tier 2 tower, you lose on the cross map. Peke pushing in right now into that empty ruins previous tower, and Amazing and Mithy finally getting that division they wanted.
See how they use it. It's going to be the most important. Origen have got the ability to push towers relatively quickly if they can get a couple members to them.
Yankos is going to get spotted by this pink ward. He's going to find it too. Again, information is all you need. He doesn't want the spider in his jungle. Forces him out.
Yeah, we did see Soaz roaming from the lane as well. The Dragon's going to be up in 20 seconds. Roccat have secured 11 Dragons this series to the 7 of Origen. They have an additional win, hence the higher number of Dragons before Origen. They may not want to give up this next one uncontested.
And in the first few games, Peke was 0-4-0 in the first 50 minutes. This time he managed to avoid death. Yankos was incredible, good at just finding picks on that Gragas. Even though he has the more aggressive jungler on Elise right now, he hasn't found any openings. Origen has done a way better job. This is why the playstyle from Amazing has been centered around shadowing and counter-ganking instead of going for plays. You might see a fight here at Dragon though.
So Dragon will be secured by Origen. They have the Crab speed boost to get out as well. Evening out the Drakes 1-1. Arise, Nuke Duck says. The soldier comes up, but nothing follows through. Origen
controls.
Sneak away that Dragon.
In full vision. Very controlled game by Origen. They get the division in the left side. If you spot them, you know they're there. If you don't spot them, then you know that they must be on the right side of the map. They defend the right part of their jungle, allow Soaz to scale. They move in together, go for that objective, and then they fan out again and they keep farming. Solid game so far from the Origen lineup.
Can Origen keep it up? That is where our focus will be. Got themselves all the outer towers, and this is where the Roccat team comp stalled in game 1. Origen picked themselves up a first item, Ryleigh's Crystal Scepter for Peke, gives even more control to those team fights on those Death Rays and the Chaos Storm, which I think will actually help, because once Nuke Duck has thrown down his combo, assuming it hasn't instantly reset the fight, AoE over time, going to keep reapplying the slow. It's going to give Soaz and Niels all the time in the world with the damage down.
Getting lockdown on these very, very low mobility carries in the backline. You can argue, yes, Azir has mobility with his combo, but you assume that you're talking about Azir post-combo. And Kog'Maw getting any of them slowed down enough for remaining members from Origen to just pile damage on top of them, whether it's the poke coming out or just the barrels. That's what they want to do. Look at Nuke Duck. Previous games, he's had a lot of wave clear, and that gave him a lot of pressure. Right now on Azir, it actually takes him time to get through these waves. Dive take a good flash, angled, fancy BM cleanse.
On the play, Chaos Storm is out. Imteke's trying to run away. He sidestepped a lot. He's got one, looking for another. Won't be able to find Vanda. And flash away from Mr. Rolls. The tower is still standing. Soaz used that cannon barrage to clear out the wave. So, Yankos goes down in a trade for Peke. Origen look like they'll get themselves a tower, most likely at the cost of the outer as well.
Damn, Soaz could have even teleported to the top lane, completely turned that fight, but expect a 1v3, getting away misusing cleanse is the only bad thing because Gravity Field in the end forces a flash on the Kog'Maw. He gets a kill for kill. He stops them pushing tower immediately. Beautiful play from Xpeke, and this is what we were waiting for him to step up. Flash play. Angled flash is what you need to do because if you flash straight, you will get hit. It's a 30% chance there for Vander to hit. Turnaround goes on to Jankos. Sidestep Cocoon again. Jankos drops. Look at this Gravity Field that he's going to place right now. Forcing a flash because Rallis would otherwise be stuck in tower range. Fantastic play. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, advantage because Origins are grouping 3-man on the Azir, and then you can zone him off the tower. If you don't allow him to auto-attack with the Sand Soldiers, he simply doesn't have the wave clear compared to a Victor. Simply lay down the laser, wave disappears. It's trickier for an Azir, so we need to see more backup for Nukeduck in the mid lane.
I want to see if Origen can punish the use of flash there from both Mr. Riles and Vander. Any other shenanigans, as you say, breaks out, maybe the options. Home Guards have been picked up for both Steve and Soaz. So they're going to be able to join the fight at a moment's notice. And once again, so again going for that Ghostblade build, second item.
And look at how low the farm on these junglers is compared to the other roles in the game right now. Obviously, the exception of support because we don't ever get gold. It's mostly because the playstyle has revolved around Jankos trying to brute force an opening, not finding it, and Amazing lurking in the shadows, making sure if that opening presents itself, he can shut that door immediately. This allows Peke to pick up Raptors and Wolves repetitively, Nukeduck and Azir to do the same. And this is why their CS has spiraled above the 10 CS at the minute mark. Niels though.
Cannot afford that! Kill to Nukeduck.
Stepping over his bounds a little bit, Niels gets hooked in. Flash was available, so he could have easily flashed out of that one. Just didn't expect that hook to connect from Vander Life.
Vander's played exceptional this series. He's his Braum rather had to get early pick to deny, and finding a crucial pick that denies a lot of momentum and a lot of control that Origen were building up. They were trying to set up that mid lane siege.
Especially since that will cement the deep vision from Roccat in the enemy jungle. And now they are playing with all the pressure. They moved Nukeduck to the bot lane because it is easy for Mr. Rawls to wave clear in the mid lane. And now Azir is an additional split push threat in the mid game. It's incredibly hard to deal with that Azir because he can play at range, he can always shuffle out, and he can still join his team. That's why Nukeduck is running the teleport. It's going to pay off finally now. Barely use it in this game, only to get back to mid lane, I believe. So, let's just see if he can add that pressure because Azir split pushing is a force to be reckoned with. If he gets to the tower, he can just auto-attack it down, spam the W in it. Do a whole lot of damage.
Steve this time around. Got that Trinity Force first. Now going tanky. All the deep wards in the top half of the map. Roccat have an opportunity. They're going to get here. And Centaur into the back line. Dragon's up in 30 seconds. Origen were able to sneak the previous one timing-wise, despite being spotted by Roccat vision-wise. I doubt it'll be that easy this time around. There is a pink ward deep in the river, so there's a way in for Steve. And Nukeduck's also going to try get himself down to help Tempest.
A very good zone control around these objectives from both these teams, especially if you compare Kog'Maw to Corki. I feel like Kog'Maw is a better Corki at the cost of not having a gap closer, because they build the exact same thing. They build a Triforce Borg. You have range poke on R. You have way more damage on Kog'Maw. Hang on, Steve has to pony dash out of there. No teleport available, so can still come in, so that should be another dragon going to Origen.
It should be, will be secured there. Don't even think the smite was available. Was able to be secured there by Origen. So dragon number 2 picked up. Mid lane tower will get chunked out here. Roccat move forward. There is a ward in the middle lane behind Roccat. Look for Soaz. He's about to finish his teleport. Miffy has been caught out, but he's put the box down. Mr. Rawls and Vander trying to get away. Soaz has got the home guards active, but is not pulling the trigger on that engage.
Yeah, it was a little early. Miffy, we still had to wait for Soaz to finish his base. To deny that opportunity or force it a bit too hard. Jankos posturing on the left side. Look for Cocoon, look for openings. Chain CC is what they're looking for.
Gragas and GP on the same team. It's barrels for days. Amazing gets hooked, and it's Jankos that gets the kill. Look at those powder kegs. Clears the wave, and it chunks Nukeduck down. But Roccat have now strung together another kill while trying to siege the tower.
Yeah, Origen will probably have to yield this tower at this point. They can head the base too. That's their wave clear gone. Only Niels remain. Tower's on half HP. Wave is probably not going to go down in an instant.
Cannon Barrage just came off cooldown. Vander's low. Rals gets caught out by the Glacial Fissure, and Nukeduck forced to flash away. Does take a tower hit as you see that Void Ooze coming out. So teleport comes in from Soaz. He's put the Ghost Blade down, trying to look for Nukeduck. So they defend the tower, but they cost teleport. And Nukeduck's even going to TP out. Kick! Oh! Whoppa, that hurts.
Hopefully Gangplank style.
And apologies to everybody who's wearing headphones. I did not think that was going to kill him.
And Soaz managed to find Nukeduck there. All the members from Roccat had to base because they were incredibly low. So again, this is what we call momentum. On the side of Origen, they can force out. Look at how much Baron vision they've managed to acquire. Catch Jankos though.
Jankos is going down. He repels up, but he's got nowhere to go. Gromp even helps out. 2 members of Roccat down. Origen, are they going to go for a cheeky Baron?
It's not even cheeky. It doesn't even matter. Roccat knows this is going on. Steve has teleport. Balance is all the way at the side, but that Baron is dropping mighty fast. Remember, all they need to do is just final smite. Steve is way too far.
It is too far. It is too late. Baron is secured. Steve may want the team fight. Death Sentence comes out, so does the Cannon Barrage. Steve just gets Goomba stomped by Soaz, and Origen get the Baron.
Roccat getting punished for overstaying for that tier 1 tower. Teleport behind them from Soaz, and then suddenly they were in base. And then you just have to wait until you have all your members on the field again so you can play the game. Jankos gets greedy in his jungle, gets caught out by Gragas, ironically. The same champion he was catching all the Origin members on, and then immediately turned to Baron, and that was the right call. Good shot call and good control, and Soaz showing up on this Gangplank. This game going well into the favor of Origen, and honestly, if they play out the games the way they did against Fnatic, this should be a quick victory for them.
Should be, especially with those Baron and Power minions. You consider how difficult it's going to be for Nukeduck and Mr. Rolls to wave clear. Mr. Rolls not going to be able to use that living artillery to chunk down those Baron and Power minions all that effectively.
Ironic that the pick Nukeduck was feared the most for in this matchup, having the trump card Azir over Expekes, whose Azir was lackluster, to say the least. It is the pick that Origen does best against, because they managed to just group up and zone him off the tower, not even allow him to clear the waves. For the first time in this series, Pekka has a distinct pressure advantage. Finding his teammates. The Gragas on Amazing I like as well. Elise has been not the pick for this series. Fantastic early game jungle, but just doesn't work out between these teams.
Gangplank, Grom, and Gragas. Those are the top 3 from this series. Probably you could argue Lulu because of the threat of what else could be played with it. And we know Origen can play around the Lulu. We've seen it a few times. Can't say the same about Roccat.
And you see how it shifted from trying to ban everything until leaving some of the power picks open, and Origen may regret not picking purple side for the next game because they gave up Azir, but so what? Who cares? We got Gangplank Braum in our first rotation. It's what Ducky is thinking. Hashtag worth.
As long as Origen can close it out. They've got 4K lead. They're even in kills. They're ahead in towers. It's 47,000 gold for Origen to 43,000 gold for Roccat.
But they have a very smooth game plan laid out for them right now. They can push up this top wave. In about a minute, 10 seconds, Dragon spawns. They already have acquired deep vision necessary to either take that for free or force a fight. Then they can start pushing on forward. They don't have a timer on their game anymore. No timer on this composition. If they don't manage to split push or just group push and siege out Roccat, then they can return to the Baron. They have all the control if they just don't make a mistake where any of them gets picked off. That's all they have to avoid. They're in the driving seat for this game, and Roccat is painfully scaling, looking for that teleport flank on Steve.
Niels cannot afford to eat another death sentence like he did in the mid lane, as that will alleviate almost all of the pressure that has been built up. Baron will be ticking away very, very shortly. I think it's actually literally just timed. But Origen got themselves a couple of towers.
Look at the vision though.
Themselves so many deep wards, even denying vision.
They're littering in the forest. Shame on you.
Smokey the Bear is disappointed. I don't actually think he's the litter guy, but whatever.
Reference made. Stop it.
Amazing. Good deep pink wards. And again, just front line. So Roccat have to get through the vision and have to get through Amazing and Mythy.
Yeah, look at how afraid they have to be. That if you have to be so afraid to place a ward over your wall in the jungle without even reaching a camp, and then you have to ward mid lane here,
And
You run out,
sweeper?
yeah, you run out of side stone wards before you even reach the river, and that is the mark of playing aggression and snowballing a lead well. And this is what Origen can do if they get ahead.
Origen have not gotten ahead all that often this series. They did get Dragon number 3, so there's that movement speed increase that is very, very crucial.
And look at Roccat doing the right thing, but too slow. They realize, okay, we're never going to get this Dragon, let's move to the top lane. But it's too late because Origen can base and move there. They're looking for a pick, but Origens are available. Soaz,
He's going to go down, he's going to go low. Ignite's ticking away, one more auto. Gets the barrels off before getting dropped. Did force to get flashed away, and I mean, that was a 3-man all-in.
it looked like a really, really inconspicuous pick-off, but it is pretty obvious of a play at this level of caliber of play. When you get a Dragon uncontested, you have the entire bot side warded, you have to assume that Roccat is on the left side of the map. Why would they be near their blue buff? They're obviously going to try and pick you off once you go for this obvious play. Soaz his thoughts somewhere else. We're just thinking about that juicy CS, but yeah, Origen can't afford to make these mistakes.
All 3 upgrades for Cannon Barrage secured for Soaz. 339 CS, 31 minutes. Actually, across the board, really high CS numbers. That extended somewhat laning phase.
At the cost of the junglers.
At the cost of junglers, but for the laners at least. Nearly 8, 9, 10 a minute average across the lanes.
And if that plays out the way it does, Gragas is such a better pick than Elise, because you're going full tank anyways. The utility you get out of Gragas is so much more efficient. Look at Jankos, he desperately tries to pick up some magic damage, but those items, as you go later in the game, flat penetration is absolute numbers. They're really good in the early game, but relatively speaking, later on when the magic hits in the hundreds, the 150s, that flat penetration is useless overall. And then obviously Amazing's health and armor and magic resistance will just pay off way more.
Teleports are available for both top laners, as you can see. Origen in the jungle of Roccat. Look at Soaz in the bottom lane, as well as that string of pink wards in the river behind Origen.
Yeah, top lane pushing into side wave control. They can ride this wave into the tower, or they can peel back to Baron already. There's only 1 ward remaining for Roccat. Deep enough for a teleport flank. 2 actually, if you count the one in the top tri-brush. Origen just have to keep up this pressure, keep Roccat locked up. Don't go for a fight. Then they can peel back and use the darkness to their advantage.
There are 2 teleports for Roccat, so if Roccat can split up Steve and Nukeduck, they have the option to deal with multiple waves.
Look at how careful Soaz is playing. He knows, unless he sees every dot on the minimap, if he can literally count to 4 at least, so the only remaining member is Steve, then he can walk up to this minion wave. Not going to make the mistake he made previously, because in this 1-minute window, Nukeduck actually tried to pick him off, because right before Baron, that's when people actually get a little careless traditionally, because they think, okay, we have the setup, the plan, and then they get caught. Soaz definitely playing with the patience right now. Maybe contemplating whether he can refill his side stone. 3 refills, but you have to go to base.
Going to be difficult when you look how close Roccat are to that Baron pit. Again, Soaz just respecting the line. He's got a pink ward in the tri-bush. He did just lose sight of Steve. The rest of Origen are now backing
Look
away.
at Jankos, he's sneaking a ward. Origen hesitated a little bit, didn't pull the trigger on the Baron. It's the most satisfying feeling when you ward over a wall and you immediately see 4 people walking towards that ward. That's when you know you spot yourself at least a minute worth of time. The objective raise, Jankos sneaks in, kills the pink ward, places a ward on Baron. Suddenly we're even again. All that work that Origen did in terms of putting up the vision, preparing the Baron, has been denied by Roccat right now. Reverse scenario that what Origen was doing to Roccat, I believe, in game 1.
I think it does contain them at least. No longer is now Origen have backed away. 3 refills for Miffy, as you mentioned. Can they get those sight stone stacks built up? Roccat going to do the best they can to get some deep wards down. Niels and Amazing sitting on the front line before they back away. There is a lot of damage on the Roccat side, so if Origen are late to the Baron play, Roccat also have the opportunity to sneak it.
Zir, Kog'Maw, and Elise as a triple combo does disgusting amounts of damage to Baron. It'll go down in literally 5 to 7 seconds, so Origen will have to be incredibly careful to not let that happen. Good vision control right now from Roccat, honestly, but they don't have the power and the strength in this game to really push in Origen to then back off to the Baron. Look how they've got good control, but at any moment's notice, Origen can just move in and clear that out.
Gotta respect the engaged power of Steve's Hecarim. Not the greatest tower killing team from Origen. if there's a contest. If there's a contest. If they're alone, they can do fine with that. Anybody can. Origen still hold on to that 4,000 gold lead. Gone past 35 minutes, and Steve's laying down the beats as he recalls back to base. Got that Triforce Frozen Heart. We haven't touched on the items in a little while. Death Cap's picked up for both mid laners. Blade of the Ruin King Niels is so much further ahead. Mr. Rolls, Blade of the Ruin King, Last Whisper, and a BF Sword, so there's an entire Last Whisper unaccounted for on the side of Mr. Rolls. Sundisk is taken out there from Origen.
Spectre playing with no cooldown reduction at all on his build, so it's literally shotgun. One shot. Blow him up or wait a long time to reload. But it can be enough to take down Roccat in these team fights. One shot is all you need if you connect with Kog'Maw or Nuktak on the Azir.
Nuktak, Azir, Emperor's Divide. That could be game-changing. Hold on a second. That's a teleport into Baron pit. Baron's down. Baron's secured already. That was a two-man. Peke and Niels, they soloed the objective. Baron number 2. I think we're going to game 5, and I believe we've ticked over the NA official start time. So welcome, North American viewers. Team Impulse versus Cloud9 will follow this series. Shout-outs. Hopefully you're enjoying the viewing party in the LA studio.
Yeah, if you've only just tuned in, the TLDR this season is, or this series rather, is that Gangplank is a strong pick, but Braum so far has had a 100% win rate. Niels gets flayed.
Death sentence between the goalposts. Amazing and Niels get away, but they can't get away. The onslaught of shadows. Emperor's Divide comes down from Nuktak. Amazing is in trouble. They've got him. It's Mr. R's living artillery that secures it.
But all these flanks, all these engages, in a fight without Expect, it only nets them 1 kill. And that is worrisome for Roccat, because when Origen can start up sieging up right now, so all these engages have been burned, they can still get an advantage. Dragon is all they really want right now, 4th Dragon. Then they can repeat the entire scenario and just punish Roccat. Roccat is just having issues getting out of their base to set up the plays. They have to go for very forced engages, and then they need to land their stuff. You can't afford to miss hooks at this point in the game.
No, not at all. Niels was able to get away. Dragon may be secured. Yeah, it is. That's number 4. Look at Vander. Death sentence. The swing, the wind-up. It does not connect. Gravity Field was enough disengage from Peke.
If Peke wanted, he could have blown up Vander right there. Decided to hold his ultimate. Keep in mind, Peke is playing without any cooldown reduction. He's just going full AP. If he flashes in and presses ER, it's the entire Roccat lineup disappears.
839 ability power with that Void Staff Death Cap combination. The next item will turn out to be 4 members of Origen have Baron buff. Gold lead is high, 6 minutes, call it 5.5 minutes till Aspect is an option in Origen. They really want that outer tower. I mean, we're going back to it. We've been here for 6-7 minutes now.
Well, they've been using the pressure translating to get objectives right now. That pressure on the outer tower got them a Baron, then it got them a Dragon.
Yeah.
It's like a fake objective. Like, yeah, we totally want this tower. Please defend it. And Baron. Yeah, overall, this series, again, Braum looking to pick up the 4th victory right here. Speke showing that he actually shouldn't have been that afraid of the Azir. With the help of his team, they managed to push Nuktak off these towers, open up the map. Gragas did phenomenal on Amazing too, so overall, really going to be an interesting pick and ban phase in the 5th game. If Origen take this home, obviously we have to wait. Sieging into an Azir is obviously very hard once you get to the base. Shurima shuffle, I make play here, is definitely a possibility.
You see both teleports from Roccat are down, not available for this fight. Mr. Rals trying to get those autos to clear the Baron empowered minions. Soaz is pushing in the middle lane. He also does not have teleports. Origen respecting the lack of the numbers. They didn't have Amazing with him either, so they've also respected Roccat and peeled back to the jungle.
Just take a look at the bot wave though. If Origen bide their time and just save some of those wards, safely push out the lanes, they can ride in that massive wave in the bottom lane, or just simply push in, rotate to the bot. Later on, it's going to take a while before that reaches the tower though. He's peeling back, looking to pick up their buffs instead. Very hesitant. Looks like they're going to play for the next Baron and the next Dragon. They really don't want to overcommit on this Azir Kog'Maw lineup. If you don't reach them immediately, they will tear you apart. That's how these double max range compositions go. So far, they haven't been allowed to really do continuous damage in these fights, but if you give them the time, then their DPS will obviously or their damage rather, DPS per second,
Yeah.
go through the roof.
They have the tools available, let's say. But
So all the damage on Expeke is front-loaded.
and the thing is, we were also expecting Origen to clean the game out relatively quickly with the lead that they built up. I quite like seeing the respect they're giving Roccat, but also the later we go, the scarier this Cogmore becomes, the scarier this Hecarim becomes. Thornmail now completed as well. So for Origen, yes, they have a fantastic lead. They have the option for Aspect, the option for Baron. They cannot afford to misplay. They cannot afford to make a mistake.
No, all their damage and engage is very, very front-loaded. So if Nuketug and Mr. Raul survive, they can put out continuous damage on this Origen lineup and eventually tear them apart. But they're not allowing that to happen so far. Mithy obviously will play a large part in this. With Unbreakable, he can deny so much damage from Mr. Raul as ultimate use from Gangplank. That's big, though. They need that in the fights. They need that to slow the backline, cut off the escape route. They traded for a tower, so Origen definitely making clear to Roccat, we are not going to siege your base until we get that 5th dragon and the next Baron.
Around 70 odd seconds on that Cannon Barrage ultimate from Size. He's still got himself 410 CS in 41 minutes, farming exceptionally well for a top laner. Banshee's Veil now completed as well, so that sort of one-shot cocoon significantly lowered, the risk of it rather. For Origen, Baron Dragon coming up at the very, very same time. So there is an option here for Roccat to make a play on whichever objective is not the primary focus.
Very interesting that Vander picked up a Kindle Gem here instead of slowly building towards Zeke's Harbinger. Item would be great on Kog'Maw or even a Azir. 20% extra ability power goes a long way.
Yeah, especially 41 minutes into the game. With Baron off Pekin, he's only got 777 AP.
That's why they're waiting for Baron.
Yep.
He needs to get closer to that magic 1k mark.
Yep, get that higher. But doing it very, very well.
I mean, it's not style points unless you one-shot the entire team. Nuketug.
So,
What the hell happened?
Soaz, let's assume a barrel. Let's just say Nuketug wanted to do a barrel roll, and unexpected results happened.
Sadly for him, he barely made it out of that one.
Soaz is just doing a fantastic performance once again. Mithy's picked up that Banner of Command. Just seen how long that's been there. Very recent completion, so that's also going to help the split push. And with all of the pressure, both dragons to peel back to, let's see Origen.
Yeah, Origen have put their game plan in the middle of the table. Roccat can read it, but there's nothing they can do about it at this point. As long as Roccat doesn't know that Dragon and Baron are coming up. Might be a desperate fight here to even it out. Mithy gets caught.
He does get caught. Glacial Fissure goes out though, and Amazing's pulled enough distraction. Vander's low, Jankos is low, but it's Amazing that is down. Origen, once again, in a team fight without Expeke. They've lost their jungler.
They're gonna burn Baron immediately though. Without smite, they don't need. When your mid laner is sitting on 800 AP, you don't need a smite anymore. They have no vision. Roccat is so scared of face taking here. Look, half HP, 1/3 HP. That's gone.
It is done. So Baron is secured. Looks like it'll be at the cost of Dragon, but look at the play. Origen are pushing for more. They're going to have Baron empowered minions here in the top lane. Crepo, they might be looking to crack open Rockat's base. They've got the support. There is a teleport available for Soaz if he needs it to back off. Cannon Barrage used to try and interrupt the recalls. Baron empowered minions. They're onto the inhibitor turret. Origen, they get the Baron. They lost their jungler, and they get an inhibitor turret as well.
Yeah, they forced Nuketug to teleport down to that inhibitor to hold it. So yeah, textbook plays right here. You lose your jungle, but this late in the game, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the distance from the enemy team to the Baron. If the enemy teams leave their base at this speed and you start Baron, position X, how long does it take for them to reach it? Can you take the Baron? The answer is yes, they can. Take Baron. Obviously, cross-map advantage for Roccat is, yeah, we can't let them have 5th Dragon. Let's take the Dragon. Origen, obviously, read that textbook play again, so they go to the top. Very standard series of events, but neither team could really do anything else right there.
No, they certainly could not. And the initial pick onto Amazing actually started from a teleport from Steve, which I did not catch initially. So both teleports are down from Roccat once more. Look, they're going to be shoved into their base, so that's not super impactful for the next couple of minutes anyway. But Soaz will have the option to push a side lane, try to pick up another advantage elsewhere.
The lack of teleport will actually be very punishing because Steve wants to teleport from behind and then flank his Origen lineup. That has been one of the ways that Roccat wins the game as Vander tries to pull that minion closer so it finally can die to the tower. They need to find an opening on that bot lane inhibitor to see if SOAS can tear through, but Roccat can obviously move more efficiently, path more efficiently in their own base. Origen stuck outside the walls. It's incredibly hard to siege into an Azir, so we might even see a hard engage somewhere to zone Nuke off. Don't even kill him. If you just chunk him and get him out of the fight, that's all you need to do.
So same chunking could happen to Niels, and that forces Origen back just a little. Origen was split between the top and the middle lane, and Niels takes a big burst of damage. We could be going to game 5. Origen have a 7,000 gold lead, but they still have to break open the base.
Incredibly hard to break open his base, especially since Mr. Rawless could build 2 lifesteal items. Kog'Maw on his own doesn't really need a Last Whisper all that much, especially not into a composition that is running triple carries and where you don't really care about the tank that much. Amazing gets hooked right now. He's going to eat some damage if he blocks the most part, but look at the damage coming out.
Even through the Unbreakable, but Origen are not relenting. Soaz is in the middle lane, and he may be able to get this tower. He will be able to get this tower. No, he will take it back. I shall stop lying to everybody. Onslaught of Shadows used to force Soaz away. He flashed over the wall, but he's not stopping. Gonna start empowering the minions in the top lane. They got rid of that big engage tool from Hecarim. Baron is gonna be wearing out very, very soon, and Origen, they're still keeping it up. They're still pushing on multiple fronts.
Origen knocking on multiple doors, but they can't find an opening in any of them. Roccat on lockdown. It's gonna be hard to get into that base. However, when you keep pushing it in, it opens up the map. So Origen at any given moment, without a moment's notice, they can peel off and take another objective once it spawns. It's the most interesting match to follow, but given that their Baron buff has run out, they're probably going to base set up Vision again, keep refilling their side stones, while Roccat have to fight their way out with Vision to even get control right outside of their base. Origen can just put Deep Vision and just control the entire map. Yes, I see it. 2 eye hedges. That's what you need to do on Gangplank.
Why not? I mean, Gangplank
makes sense.
When 21,000 gold has been accrued by your top lane Gangplank, get 2 Infinity Edges. Niels is going to steal away this red buff. And Soaz is just going to look to destroy
obviously
in front of him.
Last Whisper isn't the most efficient item on Gangplank since your barrels already penetrate 60% of armor. That means the 35% of Last Whisper only nets you an additional 13%. Ran the math, so barrels now penetrate 73% of whatever armor the opponents have. Obviously for normal hits and Qs, that's gonna pay off dividends.
Yeah. We'll see. Nuke gets tagged. Right. Winter's Bite will not be followed up. The concussive blow stun that Methy offers the entire team. Soaz is pushing and clearing out those waves actually very quickly. Steve does have Onslaught and Teleport available. Nuke will have his TP up in a few moments' time. For a minute 30 from Dragon. And Origen have made it abundantly clear. They want Aspect, or they want Baron, as one of the crucial tools to finish this game, to force another 5-game series in the European LCS.
Taking a look at the gold leads, the biggest difference, obviously, is between Steve and Soaz. Soaz, 4,000 gold, 5,000 gold ahead right now of Steve. Carries respectively 2k each, roughly, give or take. Nukeduck is the closest to expect it, and this late game Azir, if you make one mistake where you try to overchase, never chase an Azir that's on 15%. If you can get a couple of hits off, he can completely turn the tides on this game. So Origen will have to play with the necessary respect, and eventually they will run out of item slots.
Yeah, that front-loaded damage that Nukeduck's opponent Pekka can put down, though, 995 ability power.
But no CDR.
Hourglass, Death Cap. Hey, look, you don't need another rotation of spells if you can just insta-give people. So, Nukeduck, that is the name of the game. There's no Hourglass on that giant bird. Pekka is hoping to swat him out of the air. Dragon is up in 10 seconds. Roccat are well aware of this, and they are pushing up the mid lane. Look at the wards, all littered across the bottom half of the map. Origen have got options.
Roccat held their offense up until the point where the objective was spawning. There was no point for them to move out Blaze Vision. That would get denied afterwards anyways. Nukeduck gets caught, he's dead!
That's it! One shot with a barrel! They get Nukeduck! Late game Azir means nothing! But a Lantern will keep Mr. Rawls alive. Origen in a 5v4. They have an exposed inhibitor top lane and a low HP turret mid lane. They say, screw the dragon, we want the objectives. Tower number 8 falls. They will get an inhibitor. Turn their attention top lane. A minute until Nukeduck can respawn. And Origen will get their second inhibitor. Once again, showing Roccat respect and backing out. It's not over yet. We need another dragon. We need another Baron. We need to go deeper, is what Origen are saying.
Origen going full Khaleesi here, but that pick on Nukeduck, exactly what they needed. Nukeduck oversteps his boundaries, gets way too greedy. Roccat trying to trade this dragon for Baron, but Expect is there. Flash ER, watch it. Expect can steal Baron and just annihilate the Roccat lineup if they overstep. There's only one real damage dealer on this lineup left, and that's the Kog'Maw. Incredibly low mobility champion, so Roccat think the better of that. Decide to be a bit of a masochist. Just gonna watch Origen take that Baron instead.
The kill is secured onto Nukeduck. It follows with the dragon, it follows with the Baron, and it may be more. Soaz does not connect those barrels. Somewhat optimistic this time around. Roccat, as you mentioned, Crepo, they watch it go down. This is the 3rd Baron of the game.
Yep.
And I believe the 12th dragon of the series for Origen. 11 or 12, it's a lot. But it's Aspect. As if they didn't have enough damage.
Well, if they can't close the game right now, Roccat may actually win it. 5 dragons, Baron buff, 2 inhibs down, 1 remaining. Doesn't get much easier than this. However, just 1 overstep. Just the way Nukeduck stepped forward, 1 inch too far.
Let's see what Origen do. 90,000 gold they have accrued across the 51 minutes of this match. Every item slot is currently filled on the Origen inventories. One of them's a ward, and hey, hashtag still counts. It's again amazing. Eats a death sentence. He's going to get chunked down. Glacial Fissure used defensively.
Steve
but
flanking.
Look at Mr. Rolls. He's being shredded by Cannon Barrage. Baron empowered minions are onto the inhibitor turret. And the Azir turret is down. Soaz is on the front line. Gets caught by a cocoon, but eats an orange and backs away. Inhibitor number 3 will be dropping. Double super minions plus Baron plus Aspect. Origen have every single thing Summoner's Rift has to offer in help and assistance. And they are still playing this one by the numbers. They are waiting for the supers to get into the base before they set up a siege on those Nexus turrets.
Yeah, this was the worst case scenario from Origen. Their jungler face checks in. Steve had a teleport flank available. He walked right next to the Origen lineup and then decided, yeah, I can't do anything here. So Roccat under immense pressure, and Origen finally looking to crack open this race. Going to a game 5 potentially.
We always talk about the AP for mages, but let's talk about the AD. Kog'Maw's got 358, Corki's got 498, and the best AD in the game is Soaz's Gangplank with 585 attack damage. 2,400 hit point crits onto the minions. Nobody on Rocket's gonna stand. There's no armor on Nukeduck. There's no armor on Mr. Ralls. It's like shooting a Void Monster and the Emperor of Shurima in a barrel. It's a matter of time before Origen force a deciding game. Cannon Barrage is thrown down. Origen in the final hour are going to get the final kills. It's Vander that goes first before they turn their attention to Rolls, to Jankos, to Steve. Roccat are down. Origen win game 4, and Origen are making us go all the way. Oh, I love saying that line.
Game 5, baby.
They look ecstatic.
Soaz very, very happy with this victory, clearly. Yeah, obviously Origen, they're going to be disappointed that they got to game 5, but at this point they can be happy that they made it all the way. And I'm very interested to see how these coaches will adapt. Yamato came out saying, well, I have this patch on lockdown. I know exactly how to take these games. So far he's shown good mastery in the pick and bans, but good adaptation this time. From Origen really getting some value picks. And are we finally going to see that Braum potentially banned out? Because 100% win rate in this series. Yeah. Gragas 3-1 right now. Picked 2 times or 3 times by Jankos. Stolen away now by Amazing. Or not really stolen away. Jankos opted not to pick it. Went for the Elise instead. Elise is not leaving her mark in this series. So we'll need to see some shifts in priority on certain champions.
And on top of that, Gangplank is also 3-0. He's been first rotation in either blue or red side every time it's been available. This time it was the first pick Azir. It did not work out for Nukeduck. You know, we touched on how important it was. Picker doesn't really look great on that champion. He's not very comfortable. First pick worthy for Roccat. And you could argue it was one of the reasons they couldn't control the mid game.
I mean, if you think about it, why would you first pick a champion that your opponent is not that good again, or not that good on, when you give up the likes of a Gangplank, a Braum, and then you opt in the worst jungler? So, yeah, questionable draft. And we haven't mentioned too much. We mentioned it all the way at the start of the draft phase, is that Rawless was forced on a pick that was not Corki, or what else he would play? Sivir. Not Corki or Sivir. So he was forced to adapt and play Kog'Maw for the first time. And it was too slow. It was too low mobility. Not that instant wave clear. None of those rotations that Roccat were using to stay in the game earlier. So very, very high damage late game composition for Roccat, but they couldn't make it work. They were forced out back into their base or into complete control of the map. And took 1 dragon, 2 dragons, 3 dragons, 4 dragons, Aspect, 3 Barons, and then it gets a lot easier to play this game.
It also looked like Origen found their rhythm this game more than they did in the previous games. We'll see if they can keep that up. They will be on blue side in the final determining game. It has come down to that single match to determine who will face the Unicorns of Love tomorrow for the 3rd and final seed from Europe at the World Championships in 2015. For everybody tuning in to see the North American Regional Qualifier, stay with us, guys. We will send things over to Dash and the gang the moment things wrap up here in Berlin. Until then, we'll be right back with that deciding match between Origen and Roccat.
Silver Scrapes?
Hell yeah, baby! For Origen, they can force one more game, or they go home and they are finished with the 2015 season. Chaos Storm is out. Imsek is trying to run away. He sidestepped a lot. He's got one, looking for another. And Nukeduck's even going to TP out. Kick. Oh! Whoppa, that hurts.
His vision, that would get denied afterwards anyways. Nukeduck gets caught, he's dead!
That's it! One shot with a barrel! Origen are making us go all the way!